Hey everyone, welcome back to 3D6 Down the Line, the most criminally underwatched actual play series on the internet. We are continuing with episode 83 of The Halls of Arden Vul, written by Richard Barton, and we are using a heavily modified old school essentials system by Necrotic Gnome. I am John, I am your referee for the evening, and tonight we have a full house. Going around the horn, we have...
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm playing either Breggy or Lothar the Sightless. I guess Breggy to start with.
Hi, I'm David. I'm playing Upur, the soon-to-be fifth, hopefully, magic user.
And hi, everyone. I'm Matt. Tonight I'm playing Wolfhard Cheek, 4th level fighter. If we hurry, we can still make the early bird special at Luby's. Let's hear it.
Okay, so it is the... Oh, sorry, Ted.
Ted is dead to us.
I think we were done. I think we were done. I think we got everybody. It's cool.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ted, and tonight I will be playing Mortis J. Gobliano, the most criminally underwatched Arcantian Goblin Core rapper in all of Arden Vul.
There you go. All right, so it is the 12th of Gelenios. It's about 9 o'clock a.m. The party, as it stands, not the entire party, but the four of them, plus a retainer or two, have teleported to Gosterwick using the fire portal. And they are outside the Imperial Gate, which is the southern entrance to Gosterwick, because you, well, they could have gone anywhere, actually, but they chose to be outside the Imperial Gate, which is to the south. It is... the first time they've seen Gosterwick, the first time they've seen sunlight in quite some time. So it's a brand new, exciting thing. When they teleported in, they knocked over a merchant caravan and scared everybody half to death with their sudden magical appearance. But it's all good. Upior also pops into existence magically. Who knew? So what retainers were brought with you?
Lisbeth is here.
Yep.
Okay.
And I don't remember if Sam was coming or not.
Who was in the room whenever you teleported? Because I can't remember.
I mean, she was there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of everybody.
Well, we wouldn't.
Trefco and Barrios are back at the debouche.
So are they, though? I thought Barrios was with us when we went to the fire.
We can take him to Gosterwick, dude.
No, we would not have taken him.
Definitely left him, and and Barrios and Trefco are also with Lothar, who's blind and playing up the whole the circlet stole my eyeballs.
Right.
So is Gangrene with you?
I think, certainly Gangrene.
Gangrene's with you?
Yeah.
Okay. He looks very much like a feral goblin, just so you're aware.
But he is my loyal and noble retainer.
But no one in Gosterwick cares.
I'll buy him a nice outfit.
Okay.
It'll be like Pretty Woman, when we go into the shop and all my money.
Pretty goblin.
Okay, so first things first, though, to take care of business, Upior, who has been gone for the past session, did have time to rest in the debouche before magically teleporting. So Upior has now reached level 5, which is the highest level that any of David's arcane casters have ever gotten to.
Really?
Level than non-weird?
Gang.
So
That's higher than non-weird, David?
Yes.
Sure. Do you think I remember these things, Mike? Do you think levels mean nothing to me? Yes.
Okay, so unfortunately, because you're a magic user, you still have not achieved the second tier yet, but that's okay. One more level. So roll D4 for hit points.
I will do exactly that. Ooh, that's a 2.
Okay.
No bonus.
All right, 2 more. What's your total now?
12 hit points.
Great. And you gain access to a 3rd level spell, which I don't know if you have it in your spell book. Do you?
Currently, I do not. I will add some, though, soon.
Okay, cool. No additional first or second, so you have 2, 2, and 1. And that'll do it for you. That's pretty easy.
Pretty sure we have a scroll of lightning bolt, if nothing else.
We have many spell books with lightning bolt in it as well. So rather than burn the scroll, I'm going to use the books. Yeah.
Okay, so you have you let's see. You brought with you, is that right? All of the gear that you want identified?
No, we have a rug.
Your rug, then you're going to bring it in. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. So this will be primarily, unless they get themselves into trouble, a downtime episode. So there's a lot of stuff that they would like to do, and a lot of stuff that we need to cover. So just be aware that this is probably going to be a lore-heavy episode, just so you're aware, as they recuperate and recapitulate all of their goods and lore and stuff that they want to get done here in Gosterwick. So why don't you guys tell me? We do not have to take it step by step down the streets. Just tell me the place that you want to go to and what you want to get done in the order of priority that you want to do it. So go ahead. Tell me what you want to do.
Before we do anything, can I clarify, say the 11th or the 12th of Jelenios?
Today is the 12th of Jelenios.
12th of Jelenios. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the deal that we have, like the discounted inn that we got through the deal that we set up with the Arden Vader, was at the Stunned Acolyte Inn.
That's
Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. It is the nicest inn in town. It's in the northern side, closer to the temples. Yeah, and you guys get normally the suites, which are the big deluxe rooms, would be 10 to 15 GP per suite. Per night, but but because of your deal with Eusebia, the Thesmothete, you have reduced it down to 3 gold per night for a suite. Not 3 gold per person, but 3 gold for the suite.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
you also get a deal with stabling at the stabling area in the south, but you don't have horses with you, so
it's still fairly early in the day, right, John?
it's 9 a.m.
I think we should take the suite regardless of whether we plan to spend the night, so we have a private place to rug it and bring our stuff in. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Okay.
3 GP.
So I'm going to assume, though, that the very first place you stop, as soon as you can find one, is a place that is selling decent clothes for children that you could put on Gangrene. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he is filthy, and I need to. Well, I want to stop someplace that maybe not necessarily clothes for children, but like that sells butler's livery. He'll never know the difference, but I want to get him all done up in a Jeeves kind of outfit, because I think that'd be hilarious.
Okay.
Well, child labor is probably still a thing, so
Yeah, there you go, child labor.
Okay, so if you want to give him like pretty more high end stuff like livery, let's call it 2 GP for a full outfit.
Great.
Okay.
Done.
And now he has like little white stockings on with black shoes with a bright gold buckle on the front of him.
Absolutely.
Do we have any desire to hide our own identities as we walk around town?
Nobody knows us, David.
Nobody knows any of us. The last time we were in Gosterwick,
Nobody knows us. All right.
I think perhaps, to that point, maybe we all just make a point of, before we even coming into the gate, before we even go in the gates, let's take off our shiny, fancy pins and kind of keep those, under wraps. Because those are basically what ID us as, the AV club. So if we're trying to keep, on the DL as we come into town, that'd probably be a good thing to do.
Mort was here in town, right?
Actually, that's what I was about to say. I think the only person that was around was Mort, and he was a retainer at that point.
But he has never come back since he was hired on as a retainer, right?
No, he was here as a retainer. He has not come back since he became a full-fledged member.
Right. And what was I going to say? Continue. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Okay. So you then go to the Stunned Acolyte then, and you get a room?
Yeah, I'm going to buy a giant cloak and wear a cloak around town with the hood up.
Okay.
In an abundance of caution. So how much would that be?
I'm not sure. Is a cloak here? It's not. So let's call it a gold.
Yeah.
All right. I got a gold.
All right.
Okay. So you go to the inn. You have to go all the way up the main boulevard to get to it. And the innkeeper is a big whisking guy named Ulf Varian. And you discreetly show him your pin. You kind of have to if you want the discount. If you want to be extra cautious, you can just pay the full price. You do have a lot of money.
No, I think it's cool now. I just didn't want to flash it around town.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Yes,
I agree.
I don't want to get. I don't want to get too mired in it. I'll just point out Wick Trimmer obviously knows what we look like. I think I don't know
why.
Mort for one, but I don't know. This is, I think, a bit of a meta thing, but I sort of assume that when our characters die, our reputation as a branded party still has a visual to it, quote unquote. I don't know if that's true, but I'm not super confident that those people that were adventuring with the ones that died wouldn't also be known if there was any eyes on us, is all I'm saying.
It's a fair assumption. There's a lot of traffic and thus information that flows back and forth from Arden Vul. You guys have met a lot of people, and those people have come and gone from Arden Vul. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're well known or anything like that, but it would be dangerous to assume that you're completely incognito.
Yes, for instance, if the Beastmen had any people that they sent to town on behalf of them, right, and disseminated circlet info or any number of things, right, those people would be us, right?
You haven't seen the Five Fingers in a while.
Haven't seen the Five Fingers. Kronos, Distel, Wick Trimmer, many people interacting with Gosterwick in my mind. So
Wine Dark mercenaries galore.
Wine Darks. Remember, we let the Wine Darks get away.
All right, fair enough.
I'm saying that I'm wearing a cloak. Y'all don't have to, but I that's why I'm being cautious about my appearance.
Mort doesn't hide his identity. He is Mortis J. Gobliono.
Okay, so you do going back to the issue at hand, you are okay flashing your pins to Ulf to get the discount, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. He gives you a knowing look, and he escorts you up to the beautiful suite. Please take away 3 gold. Just one time, 3 gold.
Last time we were here, we cut off a halfling's head.
Jeez.
Very true.
Wait, wasn't it this one that we cut his head off?
Yeah, I think it was.
We splurged on a fancy dinner, and then we had halfling head for dinner.
Yeah, the darlings.
Nobody knows who we are. Nobody knows.
Well, it was Dalton who did it. He came down with it.
Yeah. Fair.
Okay, so so you got your place set up. But I assume that you're going to spend the rest of the day doing shit. You're not just going to bed down. So
yes.
But your room is available. What do you do next?
Well, I mean, top of priority for me, guys, before the shopping is to go see if we can find a priest that has the ability to heal Lothar. So why don't we set up the rug, go get Lothar, or we can wait until tomorrow. Do we want to just go ask?
No, we should start getting that ball rolling because we don't know how long it's going to take. It may be a process.
Yeah, so I can only play one character at a time, though, so I'm trying to decide if my time is better spent with Lothar the Sightless or with Breggy, going out and buying stuff and interacting with people, I don't want to go try and do the butt note with a character that with no eyeballs. So
yeah, well, we got to do that first. We just got, the eyeballs. We got to cure you first.
Okay. All right, so let's throw down the rug. So then as soon as we know one way or the other, then we have to be able to, put Lothar back in the room or whatever, or put him in the NPC cloud, so I can actually play a character. Right.
I'm happy also to stay behind because mostly what I'm going to be doing is memorizing spells until we do the butt note. Right.
Okay.
So if we need someone to stand back and guard the rug,
well, that's important. Yes,
I can do that.
And we'll leave
researching spells, or at least memorizing scrubbing. Rather,
there's no plan to be traipsing around town with. Basically right now, all of our artifacts are in one basket, literally. There's Laryl's sack, and it doesn't have your mask on it, but it's got the circlet inside, right? And don't tell Upior, but it also has inside that giant hunk of Arcanum.
Yeah.
Right.
So, which he does not know about. So don't go digging.
What are you talking about? Well, I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing in there. So yeah, we would want to leave that. If he's going to stay in the room, that's awesome. We should leave that bag with him as well, so we're not, at risk of losing it while we're out and about.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say though is, 2 things. One, before we go find a priest to heal Lothar, we need to find a way to pay a large sum of money to the temple, I'm sure, and so we need to bring some cash through. Which related to that, we need to bring objects we want to identify. and it occurs to me that might be best all put into Laryl's sack to take it to the place to get identified, rather than walking down the street with a chest of gold,
Right.
and a bag of very obviously clanking artifacts, kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, why don't we go see what it's going to cost to fix the eyeballs?
Yeah,
and then we'll get the money.
And that's if they can even be fixed. I'm kind of convinced that they will not be. Like, I don't know, but let's go check.
Find out. So there's probably up on the Temple Mount. There's a bunch of temples there, Dema and Lucreon and House of the Gods and so on. So that's probably the place to start, I would guess.
And we're very close to that anyway. It's like 2 blocks.
Okay, so you pop over to the Temple Hill.
Yeah,
and you discovered from talking to people that what most people believe the only person that might be able to have the power, who has strong enough faith to actually do what you're asking, is Jador the Just, who is the high priest at the Temple of Mitra, which is behind the main house of the gods there. Mitra is one of the major greater gods of Arkantos, basically like a lawful good god if we were doing the good axis.
And that's the 10, right? The 12 is Thoth and those guys. This is the 10, right?
The 10, yeah. So okay. I think it's actually a he, is the god of justice, contracts, omniscience, a defender, oaths, and humanitarian impulses. So you're basic like law-abiding, paladin, patron sort of god. Okay. So Jador the Just is indeed the person that oversees the flock at the temple. Stern man with a square jaw. And he tells you that he does indeed have the power to regrow through the miracles of Mitra Lothar's eyes. However, yes, there's always a price. It's a very, very high-level spell. It's very, very difficult. It's thus he would appreciate a significant donation to the church, and it goes way beyond what he would normally do for any member of the faithful, much less someone who is dedicated to a foreign god named Odin. Therefore, he will only perform the ritual if you pay the cost of 7,000 pieces of gold. And in addition, you must convert fully to the worship of Mitra.
Yeah. Lothar has to?
Yeah.
Wow. No way, dude. I'm sorry. I will gladly pay him 8,000 if he drops the requirement, but basically like Odin will be so displeased at my conversion that it will not be like, I mean, all my forefathers are in Valhalla waiting for me. And, I would rather go to them sightless than not go to them at all.
Okay, fair enough.
But will he take a higher amount of money?
No, he will not. Like I said, it would cost, he would be reluctant to do it for even a diehard worshiper of Mitra. But he certainly won't do it for not only a worshiper of Odin, but someone who is dedicated to them. You would have to recant your beliefs and your faith, and fully accept Mitra into your heart.
So does Mitra have a cool eye patch or something?
Yeah. Can I lie?
Maybe it's not so bad.
Can I fake it? Because like forced conversion like that doesn't really like count, right? Like it's like,
May I make an attempt to argue with Jahor? Do you mind?
Yeah, go ahead, knock stuff out.
All right.
I'm gonna go bump into walls for a while.
Wise and just Jahor, your request is understandable, but let me put it to you this way. Surely, were the situation reversed, you would not convert away from the faith of Mitra. Am I correct?
No, I would not. I fully understand your companion's desire not to do so. But then you must understand my desire not to so carelessly, frivolously throw away the miracles of my God to a heretic.
But is he in fact a heretic? You deny the existence of Odin? You say
I
he
am
is
not
a
in the
false
business
god?
of arguing theology with a goblin.
Oh,
Jay,
right.
I have
All
I have a
right.
great many duties to perform for the good citizens here of Gosterwick. And this offer, I feel, is very fair. It would also take a decent amount of time out of my normal schedule in order to do this, and it would cost me a great amount of exhaustion and work as well. So
That is true. That is true. And I respect your decision not to argue theology with a goblin. Ahem. However, surely 9,000 pieces of gold could do a great deal of good for your flock.
you kind of look into his eyes, and you can see that this is a man of the true faith.
Yes.
That
Yes.
he will not be. He obviously needs the money in order to perform the ritual, but it's not a matter of money really for him.
But it is a matter of the aid and succor that 9,500 gold could provide to the needy and the hungry and the wounded and the miserable that are in your good
I
care.
completely agree. And all that needs to be done is for your companion to accept Mitra into his heart.
What if I get you a dwarf to convert instead?
I happen to know a guy.
Yeah. What if I
Hungry
get you
for a new
another
faith.
soul, a worthy and doughty warrior, who will swear to Mitra to do the good works that you request, knowing that my God has a claim on my soul and therefore probably wouldn't let your spell even work if I were to forsake him.
Well, you would obviously have to recant and accept Mitra before the spell was cast, so that you were an open vessel for his love and healing.
I'll get you a dwarf.
Nah, it must be you, my friend.
He's bargaining.
Wow. I'll get you a dwarf and a really tall wizard.
So there's little that you can do here. The deal is basically the deal. You're dealing with a man, a man of extreme piety. Like, he's not going to, and you are also a man of extreme piety because you're also holding your ground as well. So it's a stalemate.
I have an idea, guys. We withdraw. Withdraw.
Huddle.
I wonder if the secular powers in the city who we're about to do some major favors for have any sway with this dude.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
The other option, and I just checking on this for your sake, Mike. This is a meta question. Would Mike still be a cleric of the same level, John?
Yes.
Okay.
Mechanically, nothing would change,
Okay.
except that your flavor would be completely different.
I've never
This feels
tasted it.
bad. This feels bad.
It does feel
Okay,
bad.
I'm glad somebody else is gets it. Good job, Mike.
I wouldn't have expected you to drop Lisi on,
And 2 or 3 sessions ago, Mort refused to give up the Iron Circlet for sight. So, he's totally on your side on this one.
Yeah.
So I like your idea of trying to lean on Lady Alexia for some influence. That sounds like a good idea.
She's got to have some clout. I don't want to have that be our one big favor with her. And obviously the circlet is not our bargaining chip at this point. But if we go do her a service, then maybe she would be willing to lean on him a little bit in a nice way.
I've got another possible idea for you, my dude.
Me too.
We're about to go to the place to get all of our arcane things identified.
Yeah.
What if we let them know that we're in the market for an arcane solution to this problem? Some magic googly eyes that you can wear that
Right.
approximate, a little prosthetic that can bridge the gap.
John, just so we know also from a meta point too, like what level spell and what is the name of the spell that he was going to cast? Is it regeneration or something like that?
It's regenerate, which is, I'm stretching its actual spell description because it's specifically appendages. And I think
Right.
the rules as intended actually meant like arms and legs and heads.
Sure.
But I'm going to rule that eyes that have been yoinked out are appendages.
Okay. I appreciate
They're
that
still
ruling.
in? No good.
So,
So-
hold
yeah,
on.
go ahead,
My
Tim.
idea was whether we inquire with Mr. Jayor as to whether a quest for something that Mitra needs done would satisfy. It probably won't, but we could try it.
Right. That's also very good. And then not only that, but so this guy is like unwilling to take money, but money can buy a lot of things that this guy might not even think about. So if there's like some sort of like item in town that are outside of the means of his church, but mean something special or sacred to them, then we might be able to do an even Steven trade or something like that too, you know? Yeah. So then he gets something for his faith, and then, you know, we get my eyeballs back. But in any case, at least Breggy's pretty damn awesome right now. So let's just go shelve Lothar until we can solve this conundrum.
Since we're standing here, let me ask Jor if perhaps there were some in addition to the money to aid in the care and feeding of your flock, if there was some deed or quest that we could prove to Mitra the worthiness of Lothar that we would undertake on behalf of you and your church. Some right that could be wronged, or other way around, wrong that could be righted, or act of justice that we could engage in.
So his name is Jador, so it's Jador.
There's a D in it.
He's been really offended this whole time, Ted.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Hey, man.
And he thinks for a minute, and he says he doesn't question Lothar's need for it or anything like that. It's just that he's a man of a completely different faith. So that's the source of the issue. But he thinks about it for a minute, and he says, if you're not willing to go the what I would have considered the easy route of accepting obviously the most powerful God in the world, if you don't want to do that you can take the much more difficult route, which would be very helpful to the church as a whole. The canon of the Temple of Mitra in Newmarket, the capital of Burdock's Valley, name of Lillian, has gone missing. And you see that as he says that, he catches the eye of, he appears to take notice of Samantha, who actually sort of jerks her head a little bit in recognition of that name. And he says, yes, Lillian, unfortunately, although she does not frequent Gosterwick all that often for fear of running afoul of Lord Iskander's sight, she was indeed, she was investigating reports of beastman activity in the farmlands south of the cliff of Arden Vul when she went missing. And we, a contingent of priests from Newmarket had come to the temple and had actually asked me to recommend some adventurers that might be able to look into that, although we have yet to hear back from any of them. And you see Sam sort of slowly back away into the shadows a little bit, like she doesn't want to be noticed.
Yes, indeed. Arden Vul is a terrible and dangerous place. But, well, we thank you for your consideration and your concern and for your understanding with our feelings on the matter. We will see what we can do and be in touch in the future if we are able to perform this service for you.
Wonderful.
What was the name? Lillian?
Lillian, yes. And she is the canon of the temple in Newmarket.
Okay.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
I mean, luckily we have some connections with those people.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything immediately. I just think if we don't find a better solution for Lothar, we could maybe do something with the Beastmen and come back to this. Okay.
Yeah, and Newmarket is located, you said it's at the base of the cliff to the south? Is that where you said,
that's
John?
where she went missing. Newmarket is further down the valley.
Yes.
There's a map on the on our map section, Matt. You can see the whole valley.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just haven't been able to find it yet. I haven't looked at the large enough scale. But okay.
You go.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
Down
Burdock's Valley. I get.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, so Lothar, I assume, just goes back to the inn. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
Should we?
Identified.
Well, one thing I was thinking, just like, and you guys let me know. It seems like we should probably get word to Lady Alexia, because it seems like that might take a little bit of time to set up.
Yeah.
So, like, if we contacted the Thesmos Thief, that we have something important to tell Lady Alexia. It's private, but because that might take a day or so to set up.
You guys promised me butt stuff today. I want the butt stuff.
Correct, but do we want to do any sort of information gather on the status of Lady Alexia, what her goals are, what's going on, etc., before announcing ourselves? I'll remind everyone that, for all we know, the police are after us for killing Isocrites because he was helping Alexia. Like, my point is, we've done no.
We don't know anything
on several things that Alexia has investments in, and I just want to make sure we don't walk into a trap. Do we want to see what's going on with her first, or?
Well, it's not a terrible idea. I don't think it's that particular thing is necessary, but I do think that some prudence is always prudent. We don't have to approach the problem necessarily. Let me rephrase that. We don't have to approach the Thesmothete as we have information. We can approach the Thesmothete as, hey, we're back to collect our elevator money, and play it by ear. But yeah, it wouldn't be a bad idea to do a little questioning and research.
David, to your point, John, is there a place do they use wanted posters? How could we find out if there is, if we're in trouble? If there's a price on our heads? I don't think that there is, but is there? How can we? Yeah.
How would they even know?
Or we could ask if there were any rumors at the bar, the circulating. I want to get a sense of the rumor mill, basically, right?
Why don't we do it this way? Since we're not on a clock at the moment, except for what's going on in the dungeon. We got the most urgent thing done. Why don't we take a day to information gather, find out the pulse of the town? John can tell us any rumors that we might be able to pick up from that stuff. And then tomorrow we can figure out the IDing and all the rest of that stuff. Is that cool? I think David's right, man. Better to walk in informed than not.
Okay.
We could also have spent the time you guys were talking to the priest, prodding the bartender for information, right? If you want to just have that overlap.
At the stunned acolyte?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you also need to actually go back using the rug to go pick up Lothar and get Leryl's sack, which is basically going to have everything that you want in it, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And
Back
Lothar was where whenever you left him in the debauche?
He's in Mort's office with Titus taking care of him.
Okay, and the rug is in.
He's actually sitting out in the area in the debauche with all the goblins seeing him.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Telling the story about the circlet stealing his eyeballs and then disappearing.
Okay. But the other rug is in the pyramid stash, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, I just want to frame sort of how that happens. So there's a little bit of time that occurs after the teleportation to sort of gather Lothar. You kind of have to make your excuses to drag Lothar to the pyramid. As I said, it's not like it's compromised, but you just have to be aware that the goblins are constantly seeing you going in that direction. Yeah, and it's only their kind of superstition against the green mist in the pyramid and stuff like that kind of keeps them away. And even if they did know that you've got some sort of access going on there, they still don't know that there's a secret room inside the pyramid where you're keeping shit, right? So you have a very good situation there as far as your stash security, but just be aware that ruse will no longer be a ruse fairly soon. They're going to kind of cotton on to the fact that even though they can't see an obvious point of egress, they constantly seeing you going back and forth to that room. You know what I mean? So,
anyways, the other thing, like Trefco and Ignominious, that's kind of where they've been kind of hanging out and playing tag, and
it's fairly obvious something's going on there. They don't know what, but then again, they might get irritated that they don't know what. But whatever, it's cool. So you grab Lothar, you grab Leryl's sack, and both of those things are now in the stunned acolyte with Upior. Upior, you're kind of listening in the common room or going to different places and listening for the rumor mill?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's the sort of thing I can throw some coin to the bartender and hear what the latest news is, or just be a fly on the wall and listen in. I would do both.
Okay, so
maybe I would listen first, and then if I didn't get much, I could press and try to ask the bartender directly. How about that?
Sure. Yeah, the basic stuff is that the a few weeks ago, the whole thing with the mice and the nobility that sort of faded away, and it's all good. Things are continuing apace in town. Everything seems to be doing fine. It appears that Alexia has been requesting, or at least maybe she hasn't requested, but more Knights of the Azure Shield have actually been coming to Gosterwick from Narcelion. They're basically increasing their numbers, and a lot of those knights have been sent to the gatehouse that has been formed at the that is being built at the base of the falls, near what they call the Tower of, what was it called?
Or Yttriol, or what was it?
Eartall was, yeah.
Eartall, yeah.
I can't remember the name of the tower of something or other. But anyways, a lot of them are going there, and then a lot of mercenaries, most of them wine darks because they happen to just sort of be in town, have also been requisitioned by the lady to supplement the tolling station that's been set up at that gate, right? The knights are a pretty small contingent, right. And they've got better things to do than just to sit there and take people's money. They basically have hired some mercenaries to sort of do the day-to-day work with some knights overseeing it. But that the rumor is that that gate, the final touches are basically being made at the very top of that gate, sort of like a triumphal arch sort of situation. Mm-hmm. But the business is booming. Everything's doing quite well. They're taking a pretty penny.
Any sign of the? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Any sign of the Wine Dark captains or leadership with them? Is there a sense that there are higher ups within the Azure Shield and the Wine Darks that are communicating, or
not super higher ups? None of the named people that you guys have met up at the Broken Head. It's mostly just like staff sergeants and things like that. Yeah.
Go ahead. I was going to say, Wolfherd could take this time to check bounties. See if wherever bounties are posted, just to see if any of us are mentioned there. In a couple of inns, especially like the Muddy Puddle, which is the one where you guys have been hiring your retainers from. It's like the real dive place. There are some like posters and wanted, and like if you happen to be in Arden Vul, it'd be awesome if you could look for my lost aunt or something like that. You know what I mean? There is like one that's relatively old that does say like the world-renowned adventuring sage Isocritus missing in Arden Vul these past 2 weeks. Large reward from the lady herself for news of his fate. That sort of thing.
Yeah. We can get a reward.
Oh God!
But it's not like presented in any more grand of fashion than any other one. You know what I mean? It's just like there's a whole bunch of adventuring activity.
Stapled over it. Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I'm trying to think if there's anything else explicit I would ask.
Dude, we could totally tell her Onweir did it and then get the reward. She can't get hurt anymore.
We killed him.
our ex compatriot. Yeah. I'll just walk in with all of his gear and just see if she says anything. No. Okay. So that gives us a sense of. I mean, obviously, there's communication going on. Whether it's about us, doesn't sound explicitly like it is. Between the Wine Darks and the Azure Shield, there's a high increase in militarization. I doubt that is just for the guardhouse. I assume that is for a campaign once the guardhouse is completed, but I could be wrong. Yeah. Where that's going to be going to is something we should be curious about.
And remember too that the knights are not a police force for town. There is a town's guard. There's a town guard. Yeah. They reside in the kettles, those big buildings that are the barracks, and they are under the control of Eusebia, who basically runs the town. Remember, so the Knights of the Azure Shield are also there. They answer only to the Lady Alexia here in town. However, they are an independent knightly order that serves the crown. right in Arkantos, and that's where their base is actually on the Isle of Arkantos. So just to be clear, these are not the lady's personal retinue. They just happen to be sort of like on lease because the lady has noble blood, has imperial blood, right? Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's a couple of things that could be going on here. One is this is sort of like we know Alexia and her brother have a dispute over territory. If she is posting Azure Shield Knights around Arden Vul, it strengthens her case that this is her territory, this is her town, yada 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 yada. But the other thing is that it sounds like maybe we've stirred something up potentially about what's in Arden Vul, and the houses are starting to prepare a bigger campaign.
I mean, beyond just that, we pissed off this ancient dragon who has been really chill for a very long time, and he just like ate and murdered all of those wine darks that were up there. So
interestingly enough, you do not hear a lot of particular mention of Kraz, other than the normal mentions of just like the dragon is up there sort of thing. But that does not seem to have stopped the flow of traffic or adventurers or anything like that.
Visibility-wise,
is there any info about the Wine Dark cohort? Is
about them?
Is there anything about them losing a ton of people or anything like that?
Yeah, those are stories that sort of run about, and like every inn you run into usually has like a wine dark or two. You see them on the street, like they're everywhere, right? They're basically in town, right? And they have not left. They got their taste from the scouring and the attempt to get Codswallop's loot. And they like what they found. They know, and they see opportunity in this land, sort of thing. So they've kind of stayed. But yeah, all the veterans over their cups will speak of the devastation that occurred, like and you notice that the way that the Wine Dark, they're kind of fronting as if they are old veterans of Arden Vul now because of the harrowing experience the two harrowing experiences that they've had. The great victory in the halls themselves, cleaning out the halflings, and then the defeat that they had, the crucible of blood that they've suffered under Kraz's attack.
Yeah, they had a great victory on the front porch of Arden Vul.
Yeah.
Do they all wear like the same jacket, John? So they're easy to spot, like with a couple of like crossed wine goblets on the back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They speak like old vets did, but you guys really know. You're kind of laughing when you're kind of hearing the rumors because it's like what the depths of Arden Vul look like, and they have no idea what fates could befall them. But you got to give it to them. They have suffered under dragon breath. So
that's true.
I have one last question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You go.
Well, I noticed on the map, John, there's something called the House of Sight. I don't suppose that can help Lothar.
No.
Again, it's full of eyeballs.
What is it?
Gotta be.
It's a factor. It's a bank.
Oh, okay. Okay. Go ahead, David. Sorry.
Similar strand. Any whisperings about a strange, unseemly druid type individual with a retinue walking into town, perhaps with a prisoner?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing at all pings your Garrowhead sense.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So the upshot then is after us at least semi-thorough hanging out and looking for rumors and posters and want ads and whatever, we don't get any sense that we're walking into a trap if we go see the Thesmophite.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you don't get that impression.
Cool. So that's what I did with my time while y'all were talking to the priest.
Yeah. I think a just caution. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You go.
So I think Matt's right. I think Mort should stop by the office there and try and get an appointment with the Thesmophite, assuming that it will not be right away.
Okay. So you head back down south, down Market Street to the house of the Thesmophite. You asked to meet with Eusebia Phocas. Do you tell them who you are?
I can say that I am a representative of the legally incorporated organization known as the AV Club, and we'd like to get our duly earned share of the Arden Vader income for the last 2 months.
Okay, the Charlutarius on duty, his eyes open wide when you mention that you are a member of the AV Club. When you show your shiny pins, you are able to gain an audience immediately with Eusebia, which is rare. But she ushers you in. She's tall, regal, more handsome than beautiful. Black hair in a very tight, severe bun. And she's got her large brooch of office on her breast. And she smiles wanly at you as you enter the room. And she mentions that she doesn't know any of you. But recognizes your badges and she does not question them. And she inquires as to the fates of the 4 people that used to stand in this room and negotiated the deal for the Arden Vader. Do you tell her the truth or do you lie?
What do you think, guys? I was going to tell her the truth.
I say we just say that they're in Arden Vul, or that one member is, what I'm saying. I don't think we can just flat out say they're all dead, but we're here to collect because they're just going to be like whatever. But I thought we'd established, Sean, that the AV Club was an incorporated body and that it was a continuing enterprise, right? Is that not the case?
It is.
Didn't we go through like a whole legal?
Yeah, totally.
She's not questioning it. She's just asking, she's inquiring as to the people that she made the deal with.
There's an opportunity to see the lie if you want to see the lie, but I don't know what that would be. They were consumed by Cross. No. Zombie Rob.
How about this? How about I say something like, it's a dangerous business in Arden Vul, and our fingers are in many pies in the dungeons, many delvings, but they were sent me.
But she raises one eyebrow and smiles, and that is what I have come to understand. And she kind of looks at each of you and judges that you seem to be, worthy members of the AV Club. Like you're obviously seasoned adventurers, all of you. And she mentioned she kind of reaches over and kind of grabs, not grabs, but just gently kind of cups Breggy's bearded chin in her hands, and she kind of turns it slightly one way or the other, and she's like, the resemblance is uncanny, she says.
Oh, my brother Gorand is a member of the club. He brought me into the business.
Now it's a family affair. Lovely. So she says, so the terms of the deal, she opens up the book. If we had an appointment, it'd be in the book. Anyone can name that reference. I'll give you big props. The deal was sealed. I looked this up on the 3rd of Lagarios, which was last month. Therefore, 2 months have not expired. So you get you are owed 100 gold, and she has a functionary bring that in a small little bag and hand it over. And she says, "Thank you very much. That has been as we foresaw, a very profitable enterprise for Gosterwick, and we thank you again for bringing that information to us."
Well, sounds like a lot more profitable for them than us, guys.
Yeah, it was always destined to be that way.
It means the production. Yeah.
Mort's like got the 100 gold, and he's kind of like, I don't know. This is very much money.
Well, if you care to see the written documentation that we drew up.
No, I've reviewed it. I'm the bookkeeper, and I've reviewed it, and I have my doubts about the sanity of the early members of the organization and their willingness to make such a deal. But so it goes, it's all in writing.
I am so sorry to hear that the terms do not meet your standards at this time, Mr. Gabriel.
Fine.
Oh,
she says extremely sarcastically.
Every little bit helps. Speaking of information and mutual benefit, we do need to seek an audience with Lady Alexandria over an item of the utmost importance.
Okay. She says that's going to be a tall order. Even I can't gain audience with Lady Alexia at the drop of a hat.
Do we just show her the note, guys, and then roll it back up and be like, we want to see her, like ASAP?
Because we don't we don't know the loyalties of the Thesmothy, really.
Okay, well then, how do you want to work it there, Mr. Prince Stripes?
My name does carry weight. I can, of course, put in a good word with the lady, but I would probably need some more information before she would blindly. I could speak. I can speak. I can vouch for you, basically. But she has many worries upon her brow at the moment, and does not want to be bothered with a trifle.
Can we at least tell her, guys, that this involves her brother?
That's what I was thinking. Let's in the broadest terms, we have information regarding her brother.
We have information that will help her provide her a blade against her brother's attacks.
Really? And both of her eyebrow raised at that. Well, that is interesting. I can't help but to express my own desire to know exactly what that piece of information is.
I'm sure Lady Alexia will share it with you if she deems it worthwhile.
She smiles in a very much like a touche way, as you say that. But she said she'll be happy to. She'll make a point of it to go to Lady Alexia and vouch for you. And she will send word to the stunned acolyte as to her answer. But don't expect to, if you do see her at all, don't expect to do so until the morrow.
Okay.
That seems very reasonable. Thanks.
Sounds very reasonable. Hey guys, I want to go talk to my kids.
Yes, it is break time.
It's break time.
We will take our first break, and we will be right back. All right, we are back. Bladders empty, beers full. So that's the Thesmothete. Is there anything else you want to ask Eusebia?
How's it going with the new gatehouse down by the waterfall?
Swimmingly. We are ahead of schedule, and tariffs are being collected daily, and it's providing a lovely little revenue stream.
Did you know it's haunted?
We had heard the rumors, but we have left the actual tower remnants that were there alone. Built.
So you built like next to it.
Yeah. And you guys, well, you four probably wouldn't know that. Maybe Mort did, but you have the AV Club has passed by that construction and would have noted that. So,
right. Okay. I'd forgotten that it was next to it. I assumed it was going to use the original foundation. Right.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, this actually brings up what I was talking to Matt about before we hit record. That there is a little bit of a retcon, and this is actually a Richard Barton approved retcon that has far-reaching consequences for anyone running Arden Vul, for that matter. So, if any of you out there in the audience is planning on running it, you may be aware of Richard's clarification on the Facebook page for Arden Vul, but there is no way in the published work for you to go west of the Swift River from Gosterwick. Basically, it's impossible according to the map that's given in order to do it. Yet, however, there is indications that there is activity going on the western side. There is obviously like the supposedly rumored basket entrance that goes up and down to get to the Forum of Set quickly. So with all that supposed traffic going on, how do you get over there? Well, the bridge was just left out of the published work. Richard clarified it. He actually had very early draft of the actual written description that he had planned to put in there. And so there is a bridge that is close to the fall basin near the cliffs. And so what I've decided to do is to put it right at that tower, right at where the gatehouse now is being built. Because I think that's a very strategic, and it is actually pretty much in the right spot. So
makes sense.
Yeah. So there is a gatehouse there. So they're collecting tariffs. This is also why they needed more mercenaries. So they are collecting tariffs across the bridge and for people who want to get to the Arden Vader. So they're at a kind of a juncture point right there, which is really, really good spot to collect money.
Cool. All right.
Okay. So that's a thing. So if you ever want to get west of the river, very easy now.
Okay.
I like it.
Take a left at the Mean Ghost.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. That's interesting that they haven't really interacted with Urtal.
Okay, probably just there's no upside for them to do it, right? So they went in there, they heard the moaning and the thumping, and they're like, we're good.
No,
they just heard the rumors and we're like, we're not going to screw with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But she also confirms too that of course passage over the bridge is free of charge for any member of the AV Club bearing the sigil.
Sweet.
Nice. See, the deal gets better and better.
The deal does get better. Thank you, Thesmotete.
There you go. Okay.
So one thing I think that we can do is, so it seems like we're going to be here, at least tonight, maybe one more night.
Right.
And I was talking with John during the week about like we can get Elizabeth to do some spell research, and it might be good because she's not really doing anything. She's not really involved in this, but if she can go over to like the temple area and find like a nature centric area, there's some very beneficial spell research that I think she could do. And just, I mean, if we think it'll take 3 days, I don't think it will, but 2 days I think might be a good investment for her.
Yeah.
If you guys are down for that.
She can sit at the stunned acolyte and do her homework.
She can't do it at the acolyte. She will have to do it at a place that has the accoutrements necessary to do research.
Oh, right.
And John, is that the same for clerics? Like, I know Lothar can't see, but can he like try and establish new ways to cast spells, or no?
For research?
Yeah.
No, you would require sight to, it'd be part of, I know it's rough, but
Well, could he spend time, experimenting and praying and trying to find, ways to modify spells he knows to work without sight?
no, I'm sorry. Okay. There is a penalty for blindness. You know what I mean? Like there's no silver lining for it. You know what I mean? It's just, it's bad fucking news. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay. So what facilities are available to Elizabeth here in town to do research?
She can go to the House of the Gods, and as I said offline, like I was allowing her to do research at the Shrine of Lysion down in the Day Bouchemont. So any temple would work. Well, the House of the Gods would work, which is basically encapsulating like every other minor god. She could find some place to hole up as long as she could spend the money to do it.
All right.
I can't. That's one thing I don't remember. What's the gold cost per level of spell?
So creating new spells, researching new spells, or is 1,000 gold per spell level per spell. So one first level spell costs 1,000 gold.
So group, are we okay with fronting our retainer 2,000 gold to learn a spell that can hurt some undead?
So I have pursuant to that question and retainer funds. So John, we paid out Yost a couple of times, but he was unable to do anything with his share of the money, except put it in the same place as our stash. So we kind of still have 3,500 of Yost's money.
I don't know, man. That feels bad. I feel like it should disappear. Like, I mean, otherwise, David earmuffs, like offering your retainers after you've paid them a lot is like a total like upside. I don't know. I would just say it's gone.
The money's there. It's up to you ethically if you want to reclaim it.
I mean, is there a way to get it to like family members or anything like that? Is that a thing?
I mean, only narratively. Do you know Yo's parents?
He's not even
now I want to meet them. I want to meet
came from far away.
Mama Yost.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Mike. It does feel a little crappy, but the fact is that all that money it's got his name on the sack and it's just sitting with our money.
Anyway.
And we could.
Why don't you divide it up amongst the other retainers then at least?
Why are we have killed
going to start killing each other.
Things. We are so evil. Why is this our line?
Yeah.
Arbitrarily worried about this.
Yeah, I'm with David on this one.
Tax in Arden Vul, okay? It goes back.
Okay, well, let me suggest so we can get people in line here. Your major expense is going to be the identification. Do you want to see how much money you end up spending on identification before you decide how to allot everything else?
Yep.
Yes.
So let's do spell research afterwards. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes. Sure. Okay. So do you want to go do that next, or do you have other business that you want to take care of first?
No, let's do that.
Let's just do that.
Okay,
And-
so you
and
go
are
down
we-
south, just outside of town. There is the Arcane Practitioners Guild or Club, multi-storied thing, and you got that couple there that practitioners there. They're more than welcome to identify for you, and the deal is the same. It's 200 gold per item that you want identified. That can fluctuate depending on if they recognize it as something extremely powerful. They think they can get you for more money, but right now they basically tell you when you walk in the door, 200 gold per item. If you want any item just to be detected as magical or not, so in other words, a detect magic cast on anything, it costs 75 gold. However, Upior is with you and can do that at will
For free.
as long as you have the time.
Can I look at him real beady like and be like, how much does it cost for you not to go run across the street and tell everybody what we just had identified?
They look disdainfully down their noses at the small dwarf who is fronting with them as if he knows what he's talking about and tell you we will not suffer such accusations. We don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, sure. I know.
Feel free to
you
go
know
anywhere
that.
else in
No.
town to get these very rare items identified if you think you know somebody.
Yet.
We have
Let's
two
not
items.
spoil this particular pool.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you, Mike, but they got some brass balls. We've got two
All right, so-
items that we don't know if they're magic or not. So we should start with that, and then there was a short list of looks like 14 items.
Yeah, we
Okay,
had 14,
so,
including those two. We
including
weren't sure.
Two, yeah.
So Upior, you want to do the detect magic on the things? So what are the items that you want to detect?
It was the carved ebony camp bed we got from the Toristas tomb.
Not magical.
Okay.
That was actually found in
And-
Prior Jacobus's study, by the way. Not Toristas.
You're thinking of the little
Ooh.
chair. You're thinking of the
Notes
little
burn.
No, the little miniature. The miniature chair was Toristas, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then, well, I'll worry about that later. There were
It was
four
the
28-inch diameter gold discs with a hole in the center.
Those are not magical. This is what
Okay.
this is what Upior is able to tell you with Upior doing it. You have not shown them to the members of the guild
Right.
club, I should say.
So we could still ask them if they could identify it.
No.
Like the bed is probably nothing, but the discs might be interesting.
I think rather than these guys, Ted, there's probably another factor that deals with like antiquities rather than magic items, right?
yeah. All we're doing with these guys is tipping our hand that we have this stuff.
I also don't think we should show those gold discs to anyone. Anyone.
See, David likes that.
Okay.
All
fine.
right. Let's start on our list,
what
man.
else do you want me to look at? Yeah.
Everything else we know is magical.
That leaves 12 items, which would be 2,400 gold pieces.
Okay,
Does
I
that
have a list.
include-
What?
What, John?
David, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
Oh.
I also I didn't add anything to the list on my end. Whoops.
Okay.
I added
I'd like
Isocritus's dagger and Isocritus's ring to my list.
I wanted those. I don't. These guys, ISOs.
That's the thing, right? We talked about it, like that's evidence. Yeah.
I agree. We don't want to show them off.
Neither of those has any distinguishing marks that peg them as Isocritus, as far as you can tell. But you never saw if Isocritus had like heraldry associated with him or not.
Okay, I'll do it. Why not? I
You can
also
always
wanna do
play
the-
dumb, right?
I know. I also want to do the pearl and the full 4 dull glass beads, John, that I got off of Neferet or from her tomb. One of the two.
What's the page?
Oh, I don't have that info.
Page. Remember?
I remember it. It's just not in the treasure tracker.
Yeah. Let me see.
That is not
We
something
do
that got
know they're
recorded.
magical. Hold on. I'll go to the tomb section.
Never mind. I
I mean,
found
it
it.
would be around page 201 if it was Neferet.
Yeah, 200 or 201. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do those first, since I'm on the page. All right.
Oh, okay. So what are these, David?
4 dull glass beads and 1 pearl. We know
Okay.
are magical, but don't know what
So
they are.
who is taking care of marking off GP expenditures? Ted?
I've got it. I'm recording it right here as we speak.
All right. First expenditure, 200 gold. This is for the pearl. This is a pearl of the Sirens. It's an expensive appearing pearl, which, when grasped in the hand or held to the breast, grants the ability to breathe underwater, swim at movement rate 60 feet, and speak or cast spells underwater without penalty.
That's awesome. That turtle's going down.
Yeah. To be clear, because I know David was talking about this on the private Discord about wanting like a encapsulating bubble that repels water. This is not that.
Yeah.
You were completely surrounded by water. You could just breathe it.
That's still something I'd like to research down the line, but yeah.
It's still super cool.
Okay.
Amazing. Okay.
Knock off another 200 because the next one is the beads. And you're going to like these.
Okay.
These are a classic beads of force.
Ooh.
There are 4 of them. Each one is a tiny bead that appears to be made of a dull black glass. The item can be hurled up to 60 feet with no range penalty. Explodes on impact, dealing 5d6 points of damage to all creatures within 10 feet of the point of impact. It also, this is the really cool part, it creates a resilient sphere with a radius of 10 feet and a duration of 10 minutes. That's a turn. The bead's target will be imprisoned within a sphere of energy that can only be dispelled by a rod of cancellation, a rod of negation, disintegrate, or a targeted dispel magic spell. Nothing can pass into or out of the sphere, though there is enough air contained within the sphere to prevent the prisoner from suffocating. The sphere is immovable from its initial location by any magical or physical means. So it's both offensive and warding at the same time.
That's super cool.
And
I
you have 4 of them.
I got most of that transcribed, but yeah, it is a consumable, John. Once it's used, it's done.
That's correct. Yeah,
We have 4 of them.
you have 4 of them.
Yeah, John, how long did it say that the sphere lasted?
Lasts for 10 minutes or 1 turn.
Okay, so I'm going to just reread real quick, John. Sorry, because that was a long one. 4 consumable beads, each dull black glass. They can be hurled 60 feet, and on impact, they explode, doing 5d6 damage.
To all within 10
feet radius of impact.
Yeah. So that's like a square on most of our maps.
Yeah. Just within 10 feet, like a. Okay.
Okay.
It can also be used to issue a resilient sphere that's likewise 10 feet for 10 minutes. Nothing can pass in and out of the sphere. It's immovable by magical or physical means. There was something in the middle, though, that I missed there.
Just like what it could be dispelled by, which is extremely strong magic. So it's basically like a permanent warding sphere that traps the person in and everyone else out and can't be moved.
And that's either or, right? You don't blow up and in prison?
No, it's both things happen at the same time.
Both.
There's a big explosion, and then after the explosion sort of clears and the dust settles, there's like a round sphere that trapped inside. But that only lasts for 10 minutes.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Sphere of sad mimes.
Well, you could also use it rather than offensively as a sanctuary spell if you wanted to defend yourself temporarily.
Except that it explodes.
You blow yourself up.
It will blow you up.
Okay, it's just to be clear, this is the important part. It's not an A or B. After the explosion, the sphere. That's what I was asking.
You don't get to decide. Both things happen at the same time.
That is what happens. Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So knock yourself out.
So it's kind of nice. I mean, because after you turn the bad guys into chunky salsa, they're all neatly contained in the sphere.
Yep.
You have time to get away before it spills on your boots.
All right, so I'm going to go down the list here of what I have. So the next thing up is we have some deer hide boots that were found in Neferit's tomb as well. These are boots of levitation.
Ooh.
Yep, they're pretty nice. They move up and down through the air at will. You can move vertical up to 20 feet per round. Horizontal, you have to push against solid objects to move laterally. So similar to like the actual spell levitate. So you can't will it to move horizontally. You have to actually like shove yourself, against a wall. And it calls it out here in OSE. The enchantment may be used without limit of frequency or duration. You just can levitate always.
Oh my God!
David's way to get down the chasm.
Yeah,
I mean, literally. There we go.
So it's 20 feet per round vertically, up and down.
Okay.
I want to throw this out. I don't want to bog us down too long. These boots plus the rug are game changing.
Oh yeah.
Game changing. Incredible amount of things we can do now. We're not. Oh man. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. The golden net. which you found in Neferet's tomb and applied over top of Hellas the librarian, which caused him to be tangled in a normal way, but unfortunately, whatever magic was contained was not activated. You now know what it is. The arcane practitioners they like this one a lot too. This is immobilizing mesh. It immobilizes a summoned creature in a flexible net of metal mesh. If shaken out, it covers a 20-foot diameter area. You already know that. The wielder must hit AC 10 minus, or I guess plus any dex modifiers. Like the target gets to add their dex modifiers to the AC. But it's very easy to hit, basically. This immobilizes any summoned or gated creature or being, preventing combat actions and spell use. Attacking an immobilized being is possible, of course, but attacks will also damage the mesh, which typically possesses 25 to 50 hit points. And then there's a chart here that says like what the damage source is and how much damage it actually does to the mesh, depending. And it's pretty logical, right? Like slashing weapons are going to do full damage, and like arrows and stuff like that will only do like a quarter damage.
So Hellas, wrong target, but that demon in Goblin Town would be exactly the right thing.
Yes, correct. Here's a key. Summoned or gated creatures can smell the metallic taint of this item upon a person. Any interaction with such creatures while in possession of immobilizing mesh is done at a minus 20% penalty. However, I would play it more like narrative. You know what I mean? Like just be aware. Like if you have the mesh on you and you walk into a room that happens to have like a demon in it, the demon will probably be able to peg the fact that you have something that can immobilize it immediately.
Okay.
And be pissed off.
Good to know. So we shoot first and ask questions later. Okay.
It's super nasty though, because I want to make it clear that this is any summoned or gated creature or being. Any.
So the fire being in the fire pit,
right?
We could immobilize. We could immobilize the demon. We could immobilize. What else have we run into that's been summoned or gated?
The oopsie demon that they accidentally summoned in Goblin Town too.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Any monster summoning spell would count. Like if somebody cast monster summoning 10 and threw a dinosaur at us, we could immobilize it.
Correct. Yep. Okay. So keep it in mind, very powerful item.
Yep.
Its presence is given away to the potential targets. That's the only downside.
Yeah.
All right. The miniature chair, which you found in the grave goods that were scattered in the sarcophagus of Touristus.
Yeah.
This is, hold on. I should get the real name of it here. This is Theodorus's Chair of Great Ease. And this is more of a flavor thing, but it's just pretty fun. Takes the form of miniature overstuffed armchair when the command word, which is sede, which means sit in Arcantian, is uttered. Sede, S-E-D-E, is uttered. The chair grows to a full-size, comfortable leather chair. And as a bonus, you can always find 2d6 minus 1 GP under the cushions.
That almost makes up for that Everfull purse.
Don't talk about it.
Okay. Next up was the carved ebony camp bed, but that was not magical, so you don't even bother bringing that up. Next up, we have the frog catcher spear. This is found in the eastern part of the debouche amongst all those traps, amongst the corpses of the traps victims. So this is the one that had like the grip was made out of like that pebbly, oily skin, right? Yep. So this is you probably guessed what it probably is against. It's against Hecate. So this is a spear +1 Hecate Bane spear, which means that it's +1 attack and damage normally against all creatures, but +4 to hit and damage against Hecate, which is the official name of the Hoppers. I don't know if that's been brought up to you. That might be actually a revelation.
No, we kind of knew that.
Okay. Yeah. So the actual term of their race is called the Hecate, which is Hequeti.
Oh wait,
Heq without a U. E-T-I, Hecate.
Okay.
In addition to that +4 hidden damage, it also triggers a morale check when brandished against the lower ranks of Hecate, like the rank and file of that species, not some of like the more elite higher members. So if
This
you
is
sort
like
of
Gandalf's sword when the goblins saw it.
correct, yeah. So just carrying it at your side isn't going to trigger that morale check, but if like you brandish it against them, like with the intent to commit violence against them, it will trigger a morale check.
Cool.
Against the rank and file. Okay. Next up is what I have written down here is a possibly magical kite shield, which is also found in that same area where you found the frog catcher. So this shield I described when you got it as having the heraldry of House Ligarion, which was the chief rival to House Basilion, which is the ruling family, right? Which is what Alexia and Iskander belong to. Ligarion has the dragon rampant is the heraldry, like a red dragon rampant on a white background, white field, is what's on this shield. However, this shield is magical in nature, as the practitioners tell you. This is a +1 shield of flying. On the back.
Is this the one that Lothar has, Ted? I have shield with dragon insignia written down on it.
Could be it.
Yeah. So on the back of the shield, there is a Mithric word, a phrase on the back that says "Dominari Kylos," which means in Mithric to rule the skies. And once per day, you can fly, levitate, or hover at speed 120 for 3 turns. Once per day, while bearing the shield. Obviously, it cannot be on your back. It has to be like strapped to your arm.
Oh,
Once per day, fly, levitate, hover, 3 turns.
3 turns, speed 120.
sounds like we can have a perpetually flying mage and cleric in our party if we so desire.
Yep. And the command word is Dominari Kylos. So Dominari is probably how you picture it. Kylos is Caelos.
Okay.
Okay.
That's quite unexpected. Shield of flying.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
Next one is a ring with a bird decoration on it. This you found in Jacobus's tomb. This is a really good one. They've all been pretty good so far. This is a ring of free action. A classic one. Move freely under any condition. Applies even if the wearer is attacked by a hold person, slow, or web spell, and also negates environmental effects such as individuals being underwater. The individual can move at normal movement rates and do full damage with melee weapons, though missile and hurled weapons will be subject to the spell or environmental effects as appropriate. Should be noted that though the ring grants freedom of movement underwater, it should be noted that the ring does not grant the ability to breathe underwater. However, you can probably finish that sentence.
Right on.
Well, we have space for a classic web spell plus assassinate hijinks now, boys. I mean,
So the Girdle of Giant Strength I had on the list on the grounds that we kind of knew what it did, but it might be worth 200 gold to be sure we know everything it does.
Yes. So I'm going to explain this to you guys and also to the audience out there because I know there's some understandable confusion because I think everyone's impression of the classic Girdle of Giant Strength is the one from AD&D where they had like the different sorts of giant categories with the different strength scores. In OSC, there is no associated strength score. So it basically has these 2 specific abilities. Combat-wise, you can attack as if you were an 8-hit die monster, which provides a certain bonus to attack. I'll look that up. Although if your attack ends up becoming higher than that ability, then obviously yours would take precedence and the girdle doesn't really function that well. In addition, you can inflict 2d8 damage in combat just using your fists, or twice normal damage if you're using the optional variable weapon damage rules. I'm not using those, but we are using the class hit die as weapon damage. So basically, Upior's wearing it right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Upior, your class hit die damage is a D4 right now. So wearing the Girdle of Strength, any weapon that you wield with it does 2d4 damage. Period.
But which means it's worse than his fists.
I should punch instead of using,
Yeah,
weapon.
exactly. Yeah. Well, I lied. It's basically modified with my house rules. If modified with my house rules would supersede what the description is. So therefore, your fists and weapons would deal 2d4 damage. Okay. And then you would also, I can tell you right now, real quick, your plus to hit. Give me 1 second. I got it right here. 8 hit dice. Monster. +7. Okay.
Quite the wizard.
Oculus, I shall swing thee.
So that's that. So that +7 supersedes your own THAC0, your own 2 hit bonus, and also supersedes your strength bonus. Right? It's those things combined. That +7 is that combined, and then you can tag on any magical stuff that you have from your weapons or whatever. Okay.
What is the functionality of the strength component? Throw big things.
That's all narrative. Like, so all that stuff that Elizabeth did with it the first time, that was all just me sort of like ruling that shit could be done. Or you carrying the sarcophagus, that's just me saying like, yeah. So, it's generally like hill giant strength, right? If you want to kind of put it that way, but don't look up that a hill giant strength is 20 and then quote me like what strength 20 does. You know what I mean? It's all very much
the kind of thing I usually do, John.
No, but there are certain people in the party who would definitely do that.
Does anyone know who he's talking about?
Basically, all I'm saying is that it actually benefits you because all you have to do is sort of convince me that this would be something that a very strong person could do, and I'll probably say yes. It has already been evidenced in multiple times in the game. Okay. So that's the Girl of Giant Strength. Next one is the steel mace with the 4 teeth-shaped phalanges. Probably the most disturbing item that you have amongst you right now. This was also found in Jacobus's study, or in his tomb. I can't remember which. So this is an actual unique weapon in Arden Vul. And it is called Finisher.
Ooh, badass.
Mm-hmm. It applies a really nice stain on unfinished wood. So it is a steel mace. It's a +1 mace, but +2 versus all forms of undead. And most importantly and usefully, it reduces energy drain attacks against the bearer by 1 level of intensity.
Ooh.
So that's pretty sweet. Considering your how shittily any encounters you've had with wraiths have gone so far.
That's cool.
Okay, so +1 in general, +2 versus undead, and lowers energy drain by 1 level.
And Lothar has that?
Yep.
Okay.
He's really good at swinging it now, too.
Ouch.
All right, the discs have been confirmed as not magical by Upior. Do you ask the practitioners about them, their provenance, or anything about them? You don't bring them out at all?
No way.
No.
Okay. They shall remain a mystery.
We'll do our own research.
Is a magic longsword. I believe this was found in the... this is actually found in one of the trap rooms, on the Eastern Debouche. So
Titus carries this.
This is a spada, so like a Roman longsword, and its name is Liberator.
Cool.
The pommel of this sword is a fist holding a broken chain. Abstractly, right? It's just a piece of art. And so it's basically a +1 longsword, +1 spada. But it can also cut through any restraints like butter with like no effort. Does not matter what the restraints are.
Cool. I love it.
Presumably it would cut then through that golden mesh. Like
you can always try.
Cut through our mesh. We just got that.
I'm not going to cut the mesh. Don't worry.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Could we perhaps cut through, a psychological control, restraint of the mind?
I should qualify physical restraint.
Physical.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it could cut through somebody's brain pretty easily. So,
and
somebody's arm if they're holding you.
I was going to say you can't cheese it like that.
Many of us are held back for
yeah. Like anything that's like a
ropes, chains,
ropes, chains, manacles, or any magical restraint as well would probably work as well. But just saying that someone is restrained by like a person is different. Like you're not gonna be able to cut through them.
Would it cut through like jail cell door?
No.
What?
You know
No?
a restraint. No, you know a restraint when you see
Okay,
it, right?
I'm
Yeah.
just, of course I do. I'm just making sure I know how wide of a parameter you're giving it.
Yeah. It's just, use your common sense, basically.
I mean,
Okay,
Over.
it's time for second break. And I do think we
Okay.
have enough to go over that we should probably break now and come back to it.
Okay.
So let's take our second break and we will be right back. All right, we are back. Bladder's empty, beer is full. Continuing on with identifying magical weapons. The next thing, we just did Liberator, the magic longsword, +1 spada. Cuts through restraints. Next one is a gleaming shield with the Basilion sigil on it. Can't remember where this was found, but...
It was also in that same kind of zone.
was it? Okay.
Kind of
tunnels.
southeastern area. Yeah.
This one was interesting because the Basilion sigil, this is the sigil of the ruling class, is a heron, a top-down vision of a heron in flight, right? So it basically sort of like a cross. It looks sort of like a cross, like the beak and the feet and the wings, right? Spread out. If you know your Wheel of Time, it looks like that, right? The heron mark. But this mark itself is actually the heron of the sigil is actually encased in a hard, transparent material that looks like glass but is hard as steel, and it almost looks like a small version of a heron that has been sort of encased in amber. Do you know what I mean? Like it looks like a preserved actual small bird on the front of the shield. The arcane practitioners have yet to see its like. They think it's quite ancient, but quite cool. So it is a +1 Eaglebane shield, and so it gives you +1. But what's really cool is that the bearer of the shield, as long as you have it strapped to your arm, cannot be targeted by actively flying creatures.
Ooh.
hello, Crash.
Yeah. That does not mean a large green dragon that is on the ground and talking to you. It means a large green dragon that is actively flying in the air.
But what about a large green dragon that's dropping like an area of effect breath weapon everywhere? You would still be caught in that, right?
That's right. Yeah. So you cannot be the specific target. Right. But yeah, AoE.
That's really
counts,
cool.
Which is a good point.
Wyverns.
Yep.
Okay.
That's amazing.
And I don't mean winged, right? It's actively flying. So if you perhaps have stealth and silent flying illusionists with daggers, they could also not target you.
That would have been funny to watch. Watching just bounce off of.
This is not working. What's about it?
All right, there. Next thing up is a long, a 6-inch long cylindrical rod with the impressions of the raised impressions of fish on either end of the rod.
We have 2 of these, right?
They quickly hand them back to you after just a short amount of time in their back rooms where they've been doing the identifying, disdainfully saying these are not magical.
Oh, I thought we actively determined that they were magical.
We, in fact, purchased one from a magic merchant, I believe.
Yeah,
So that might tell us something about them.
Yeah.
Guys,
remember?
You pick these up from a merchant in the Goblin Market.
One of them. The other one we found somewhere.
Yeah.
I wonder, like with Laryl, you got to look at this with your mask on, because remember, we only knew that Laryl's items were magical when you looked at them with True Sight.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is nothing. Maybe it's garbage.
Yeah. I'll just pull Choristus out right here in front of the arcane guys. Right?
So you can do it later.
That didn't cost you 200 gold. Have you been marking off 200 for each of these things, Ted, by the way?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So they tell you free of charge, like this was not magical. This is not a thing that's magical. However, they do know some stuff about it that if you're willing to pay the 200, they will tell you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure, why not?
So they tell you that this is only based on the sources that they have in their own private library within the club and their connections within the collegia. They have heard of devices like these. They are control rods of some sort that were used by ancient Arcantian sorcerers to navigate violent waterways safely. Okay. They can't really speak to it. It's only what they've read. But this few snippets do align with the description of this rod, that they are meant to be inserted or activated in some way in a special container or vessel of some sort that allows you to navigate violent waterways safely.
It's a boat key, y'all. Hey, who's ready to get on the pontoon?
I wonder, and we have 2 of them now. I wonder if they're like oar locks.
What was that contraption
That's
we
smart.
found
That's very
down
smart.
as we were leaving the trials of Arden? There was that Mike and I both thought was an apparatus of Qualish, and it wasn't big enough.
That was something different too. That was like it wasn't aquatic at all. It was like some sort of steampunk / magical crab creature or whatever, but it wasn't big enough for a person or anything like that.
Okay. So are the fish stylistically, are they consistent with Arcantian, or do they look like they might be, weirdly different so that
It's a
maybe
good
in
question.
fact they go with something else entirely?
They are Arcantian. The
Yeah,
few
okay.
notes that they've read about this device alludes to the fact that the Arcantians learned of the means of making these things, or the mechanical, because it's not magical, right? It's was closely guarded, and that they learned it from someone. They learned it from somewhere else.
Like the Radishvans or something.
I
Yeah.
have no idea.
I wonder if it works on spaceships. Okay. That
Uh,
was worth 200 gold.
Next thing I have on the list, I won't assume that you bring it out, is the Arcanum Orb. Do you bring that out to show them?
No.
No, this seems like a really bad place to do that.
No, we have
Okay.
a jade amulet with a yellow bead.
So a little clarification on the orb, just for your own sake. This isn't what they tell you, but I'm just telling you straight up as a DM. I think I clarified this last session, but I made a mistake of when I read that what the orb could do. I was reading what a small chunk of Arcanum could do. So which I believe Onweir had used effectively, or maybe Mesophase. Anyways, but those are small little fist-sized chunks, which you can take and use with only positive benefits. Right, so that's the thing where you can like recall a spell that you already used, or get a +2 to any roll, or sort of that sort of thing. That cannot be done with this globe. This globe is so massive and so valuable that it basically acts like a large pocket of unmined Arcanum ore. Okay, and that is why whenever Titus entered into its presence and failed his save, he became immediately entranced with it. This is the same thing that happens whenever you enter into a large pocket, like a cave with a lot of Arcanum. You have to make the same saves. What happens is that I have to roll like a certain random number to determine how many days you're actually locked into that sort of trance where you must be in its presence, and then after that day is over, I have to roll on other random charts to determine what the effect is afterwards. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be both. It could be minor, it could be major. It's like really, really fun because there's like a lot of interesting things that could happen. So that is the same deal with this Arcanum Orb, and I'm just telling you that straight up to telegraph that should it be exposed to an arcane caster, that arcane caster would have to immediately make that save, just like Titus did. And that Titus, although you don't know how long your trance thing is going to happen, because you did cover it later and all that kind of stuff. But just be aware that you're going to have to make a roll on that table in the near future. Okay.
It's fine.
Yep. But we still have the jade amulet, John.
I know you got a couple more things. I know. I'm still on the orb though.
You skipped to the orb, and I wasn't expecting that. Sorry.
You do feel that I know that you don't want to bring it out, but that this would be very, very valuable to these people, the Arcane Practitioners Club, and to Lady Alexia. They would both, highly desire it. So would Wick Trimmer, of course. So
I think it powers a spaceship.
Finally, after long last, we come to the 2 mysterious items that we've been waiting for a long time to figure out what they do. Isocritus's items. Isocritus's dagger is a dagger of venom.
Ooh.
And you're going to like it because it is nasty. So this is a +1 dagger, +1 hit and damage. It magically injects venom into the victim when it strikes true. On a natural 20, the dagger injects a venom into the victim. Save versus death or die instantly.
Whoa.
Pretty cool.
Don't all celebrate at once. It's pretty nice.
I mean, it's cool. It's very cool.
We have a
Very classic.
5% chance to kill someone immediately. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Darius should use this.
Oh, I knew it. See, that was what I was waiting for. That
Sorry,
low-hanging fruit. The low-hanging
Okay, and Isocritus's ring. So this is a gaudy silver ring. Features an oversized 1-inch diameter silver disc that rests against the knuckle of the wearer. David, I know that some of your characters have spent considerable time manipulating and attempting to do something with this. You were never able to kind of quite get the right thing. So you have you rotate the disc on the knuckle and speak the command word. And the command word in Mithric means protect me. And the actual command word is defendant me. And it instantly gives you the equivalent of the shield spell on the wearer.
Ooh.
And it can be produced 3 times per day. So it's like a 3 additional shield spell castings that you can do.
That's awesome, dude.
Then we have the Jade Amulet with the yellow bead in the center. This was just found recently on Hellas Librarian. This is an amulet of fire resistance. You would think that's actually a common thing. It's not. It's actually a unique item for Arden Vul. Where is it here? Fire resistance. Yep. Jade Amulet shaped like a sunburst with a yellow bead in its center. Forwards a +2 on saves versus fire. And a bonus of -1 hit point of damage per damage die versus fire-based damage. So if your fireball does like 5d6 damage, you would get 5 less. Exactly. Yeah.
Right on.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Okay, so
And lastly, I have on my list is I'll just assume that you kind of brought it with you. Is Manweeper. You never actually got the full deets on Manweeper.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, it's been here, so.
you found this in the Hall of Shrines amongst some of the bodies in the Hall of Shrines way back in the day.
Yeah.
This is a +1 Ransur. So it counts as a polearm, but +1 Ransur. But it's +3 versus worshippers of Thoth, alive or dead.
Ooh.
So Neferat.
Yeah.
Neferat, exactly. There you go, Breggy. Nobody's using that poker.
I don't
As
know
far
if
as I can
use
tell-
sewer because it's I'm small.
I think that concludes the magical identification, unless you have something else.
Okay, so 14, 15, 16.
No, that's everything we had on the
probably
list. I
do,
see.
but okay, wait.
So, what was the grand expenditure? What was the total amount?
I'm working it out here. Let's see. There were 12 items because we didn't do the bed or the discs. Then there was the ring and the dagger and the Manweeper. So that's 15. So that's 3,000 there plus 3,400.
3,400. Okay.
Marking it off right here. There we go. Okay.
Okay. So, things I have down, like potential things that you were thinking about. We have the butt note. We have possibly hiring retainers. We have a visit to the rarities factor, perhaps. Carousing. Investigating the west side of the river. I have the books, all the books that you got. Spell and item research. I know David mentioned that. And then the conundrum of how you're getting back to Arden Vul.
I have a quick thing that I would like to do, which is if Titus is back in this, back in the debauche with books, he would like to read the Litany of Light.
Okay.
Except, that's in Mithric, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, rats. Okay.
He can look at the pictures.
He would look at the pictures. Yeah. Dang it. Oh, it's so annoying. Well, yeah, because guys, the thing that occurred to me was you may recall the obelisk up on the surface, and there was an ankh and then a phrase about the beacon being lit. And I was hoping to be able to find in the Litany of Light some mention of those obelisks or what the beacon is. But I guess if I don't read Mythic, it doesn't matter.
Well, that was the one book I told you the contents of last session. So everything I told you
only about the Plunger Town level.
It describes
that
the actual Litany of
yeah.
Light, which applies to certain parts of that level. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's why I realized that. I just wondered if there was any mention like this comes after the process of X and before the lighting of the beacon or something like that.
No, unfortunately not.
No. Okay, fine. All right, never mind.
Lothar reads Mythic. I can do that for you.
Okay, that's a great idea.
By touch, right?
We could work it out. I mean, the two of them together, you could sort of describe the letters and.
Yeah, there's the squiggly thing with a cross by it. It kind of looks like a cat.
25 minutes left in the session. We got a lot to do. What do you want to do next?
All right,
I say butt note. I say butt note.
Butt note.
Okay. So how do you plan to approach this? So you spend the night, and then the next day you'll have to spend another 3 GP for the room.
Yeah.
So
Mark it,
that
Ted.
down. And then you get a note the next day from the innkeeper saying that the Lady Alexia has granted you an audience on this day.
Hooray!
Awesome.
We never actually
go
met
through
her,
it. No, we haven't. We need to go through one of those montages like in Wizard of Oz where we get buffed and shined.
Yeah, we should go buy some
did.
fancy clothes so we don't look like idiots.
John, can we just hand wave buying like some nice clothes for all of us? Just give us
sure. Yeah, you want to like really look like really good, like topped out.
Professional. Yeah.
10 GP each.
Okay.
So just the 4 of us will go. We'll leave the retainers behind.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, they need to watch over our stuff, our rug and stuff in the room.
Okay, got it. All right. So we get fancy clothes, cravats, lace doilies, the whole bit.
Okay.
Wilfred would definitely get something with ruffles.
Ruffles. I want those collars, that stick like way out like that.
So you make your way up that hill there that goes up to the residence. So she actually resides in the residence, of course, not in the actual Azure Keep. The Azure Keep is actually where the Knights of the Azure Shield stay. Usually, they're in the barracks too, but whatever. Anyways, you go to the residence. It's grand, the whole 9 yards. It's a basic 3-story rectangle. And the ground floor is basically where you're going to stay because it has mostly the public spaces, which includes the grand audience hall, which is where you are brought into. And sitting upon a throne is the great Lady Alexia Basilion. Having seen portraits, especially on coins and things like that, of the ruling imperator, you can see the resemblance slightly in her face. The aquiline nose, the whole 9 yards. She's quite beautiful, slim. She's known as the Green Lady, which is kind of confusing considering that her association with the Azure Knights. But again, that's a separate, independent entity. But she wears like long green shimmering gowns, and she has striking green eyes that complement her dress as well. And she looks just as stern and in control, if not more so, than Eusebia. This is not a woman that is taken to flights of fantasy. You can see the moment that you sort of walk into the room, there's an immense sense of togetherness and capability when you walk into the room. And she immediately sizes you up as you walk in. And you make your introductions and do your bows. There is a steward whose name is Freitas. She's a female Wiscan aristocrat, and she's known as Freitas the Stern. So it's just a lot of sternness going around here, basically. And she gives you like all the instructions of like how to approach, what to say, and how to address, and all that sort of stuff. And you go in and do that. And she greets you, tells you to approach, and she says, "I hear that you have news for me of my beloved half-brother. Impart it to me."
Who's taking point?
I'll do it.
Go tell us. Go.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got the best important voice.
Okay. Mortis, having been briefed previously by Freitas the Stern on the proper manner of approach, takes a step forward and says, "My lady, allow me to introduce my companions, yada, yada. We come to you with news whilst delving whilst delving in deepest Arden Vul, we met upon foes, and we laid them low, and in the victory celebrations discovered this, which I think you will wish to read, and hands it to Freda to give to Lady Alexia.
Okay. Freda looks at it, kind of looks it over to see if it's like laced with anything or, and then she hands it over to Lady Alexia, who opens it up immediately, scans it quickly. Her eyes widen and her lips thin as she reads it, and she hands it back to Freydis. And she says, "It is very, very well that you brought this to me. May I inquire as to its exact provenance?"
I'm not sure I can exactly tell you in delicate terms. It was being afraid, my lady. It was being smuggled out of a set jail by a slave in his most secure location, if my lady understands what I mean.
Wait, Ted, sorry.
No, please, jump in.
Captured, but wasn't that dude one of the people that was captured by set slavers?
Yeah,
So-
isn't that what I basically said, is set prisoner?
So the guy was captured by bandits or,
Right.
or something in the level where the forum was set was, and they were looking to sell him to the
Sell
slavers.
him. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Breggy was there, right? Wasn't Breggy part of that whole deal?
yeah, I think so.
So
Yeah.
Ricky jumps in and explains. Fine.
Yeah, I'll jump in and I'll explain it. We were adventuring and we wandered onto the long stairs, not realizing how dangerous it was while we were trying to escape. Like another thing that we got into, and there was a human, and I'll try and describe him as best I can if I saw his face, who had been captured by bandits who were seeking to sell him to the Setites.
Interesting. So it appears that this hapless person was undoubtedly a messenger of some sort and got picked up by happenstance, and then by happenstance came across you. Well, I shall send my obeisances to the god of luck, whoever that may be. I'm sure she knows, but I don't off the top of my head. But she considers it great fortune that this found her way to her. She only hopes that it's not too late. She kind of taps like one finger on her lips, and she posits that the alliance here is for those at home too who are not up to date on this because it's been a while. The message basically is written by Lord Iskander Basilian, who is the nominal ruler of Burdock's Valley. That is being contested right now by his half sister, Lady Alexia. And it basically suggests it's a missive to Princess Stefania. I mean, sorry, not Princess, High Priestess Stefania of the Cult of Set, with an official request to join forces. Lord Iskander and but with no actual description of what that might be intended for, like what the purposes are. However, Alexia, she tells you that as she kind of thinks on it, that it's likely intended. She thinks to get the Setites to discover and recover the imperial regalia and give them to Lord Burdock. Likely for an exchange for power, prestige, and likely favored status for the cult in Newmarket and probably Narcelion as well. The cult has no legitimacy in the modern world right now, and this could be a big step for them should they be able to recover the regalia. And you can see when she speaks of the regalia that there's a fiery light in her eyes that is lit, and anger, an edge of anger enters her voice when she speaks of it. So she thinks that's likely what is going on there. But she doesn't like it at all. That's very dangerous. It makes her situation very, very tenuous. When she mentions the regalia, she mentions to you that she kind of offhandedly, she had hired a renowned sage going by the name of Isocritus many moons ago to research the location of that regalia, for I too desire it. It is no secret that would lend my claim much legitimacy if I was able to present the 4 pieces of the Arconal regalia. I'm wondering, since you have proven yourself such apt explorers of the depths. Have you come into contact with Isocritus, or do you know of his whereabouts? He was my best chance of actually finding the regalia. Now I worry.
All right, side combo, guys, just real quick. We say something so stupid. I think it's okay to tell her that we've heard rumors that he was killed.
Yeah, I agree.
In the dungeon. And
that's fair.
Is that, I mean, it's fair, but how do we should probably try and pick up the contract, right? Like, we'll be happy to plumb the depths of Arden Vul on your behalf without ever committing to actually giving her any of the regalia. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to wring a little bit more advantage for us here in Gosterwick.
Sure.
What do you guys thoughts?
If we have a fear that lying to her will be detected in some fashion.
Right.
That's like the risk, no matter what we lie about. Maybe there's a spectrum of white lie or believable versus large lie.
We question saw his dead body in the library.
Well, I'm saying, what's the most useful lie to us then, right? Is it more useful to say we heard he was dead, or we heard he was in a set prison, right? Or if we assume that she'll believe us, she may not believe us regardless. But if we think she won't believe us no matter what we say, we might as well swing for the fences. You know what I mean? Like, would we rather have Alexia be gunning for the Setites? Would we rather just say, no, we haven't, but what do they look like? We'll keep an eye out, right? And just keep it as simple as possible. Or
do we want to try to pick up the contract and get whatever resources she was funneling to him, to us?
Right.
Say that we heard it.
Here's the
my
caveat.
hope is, David, is that she's going to lean on the Mithras temple and see if I can get Lothar's eyeballs regrown. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I think that John's made it pretty clear. There's no other way to do that without, and for the sake of the game, guys, I would actually just, 86 Odin. Sorry, bro. But, I'd rather not for the sake of role playing. But what I was wondering, though, is if we say something along the lines of we ourselves at great peril have managed to locate the Library of Thoth and have found several clues that might lead to the regalia at some point. Isocritus, we have not heard of, but we've heard dark rumors of the end of a sage at the hands of some awful monkeys or something like that.
I don't think we should implicate ourselves in anywhere near the Library of Thoth or Plundertown, because if there's suspicion that he was killed, the likelihood that she will start sniffing around for us, right? Like, if we're like, yeah, we've seen the library, she's like, how do you know about the library? And if you know about the library, why didn't you see Isocritus, et cetera, et cetera? It opens us up to more questions, which I think we're gonna doom ourselves by. What I will say, and I don't think it's a bad idea to take the contract per se, but what we should be aware of is we know for a fact that Isocritus taking that contract required regular communication and check-ins with the Azure Shield, which means taking that contract from Alexia means we have to surface or expose ourselves in some way on a regular basis to Alexia, and she will have expectations and timelines and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that are attached to that. It's not as easy as saying we'll get back to you eventually, because that's not how that contract worked for Isocritus. So I don't know that saying yes, we'll do this major quest for you is as complication free as we might assume. I think it in fact is very embroiling, but that's why I'm asking.
A benefit that it could entail is we could get messengers coming to us rather than tying us to have to go, someplace. We can designate, whether it's through the Goblin Market or the Inn of the Lost or some of these things that we know about. We can designate places where she can send representatives to us,
right?
And as a means of communication, so we don't have to keep going back.
She might also have knowledge of an entranceway that we can make use of to bypass Crass and get back into some area of the dungeon that we're familiar with.
So one other thing I'll say, again, I'm just playing the cautious route here.
Sure.
Whether it be us checking in with her or her messengers coming to Goblin Town or anything like that, let's think about how, though we don't know to what extent yet, the circlet being identified with the person we're talking about right now by the Beastmen could, if it hasn't already, disseminated outside of the dungeon. And if we say we have no idea about Isocritus and we have no idea about the regalia, but we'll take a look for it, right? And her messengers come to find us in Goblin Town, and the rumor mill has spread from the beasts to goblins, and they're saying, "Oh, those guys had it. She's gonna kill us." like she's gonna go, "Oh, they probably knew. They were lying to me. They might be involved in the Isocritus thing after all, because they've been going through that thing and the goblins." In other words, we are bringing an informant into our house and making the lying have to be exponential to more and more people. So we have to be able to keep up that ruse in a sustainable fashion, or we are dooming ourselves by bringing the most significant eyes on us. That's all I would say.
Or we give her the circlet. Just take, this whole thing.
Wait. There's another route too.
Sure.
We had it and lost it.
Yes, I agree. But again, this is predicated, I'll say, we are compounding lies, and we have no concept whether John's going to make us roll for it, or if we're just going to be so damn convincing that he's going to be nice to us. And every lie will compound more people. Every lie that involves ourselves more will involve more of her lieutenants, will involve more of her spies, will involve... Then we are lying not just to her, but her entire force.
I mean, and anything we say at this point is going to be a lie in some respect. Unless we say, we found it. Here you go.
Yes, but a lie a lie that will require 20 more lies is a lot riskier than a lie that will buy us time until we decide to come back.
I'm going to say this to you, David, is if I think that there's maybe one flaw here, I think you might be overestimating her current influence in the dungeon. The fact that she sent Isocritus solo into the dungeon to try and find these regalia means that she doesn't have a lot of boots on the ground. So
it's not about her current influence. It took one door being opened and us being forgetful about the circlet to potentially forfeit an entire faction we'd spent.
That's my fault.
That's not. No, it's not a blame thing. Don't feel bad about it. What I'm saying is we can't underestimate the impact of spillage and make the assumption that because right now she doesn't have a force in Arden Vul, she won't have a force in Arden Vul because we collaborate with her. And so all I'm saying is it requires an intense amount of vigilance on our part when we use them, if we use them at all, who we talk to, how. Now we've compounded the amount of lying we are going to potentially have to do in ways that we can't predict. So it's not about her current power. The Beastmen are an easy example of taking for granted the risk of these things and our affiliation with them. Do we think that could happen again in ways that we can't possibly name yet? And who would we want that to happen with or not? Who would be the biggest risk for that to happen to or not, right? Alexia with the Wine Darks aligning with the Azure Shields, getting ready to maybe put forces onto the plateau is a good ally to have, but it's also a good risk. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it, but I don't think
what I'm saying is you just mitigate the entire thing by giving it to her. It's hers rightfully, and we have a huge ally that owes us big time. Like, that's tremendous. The true seeing thing, believe me, I would hate to give up that.
If you give her the...
my question is, are we playing an RPG to retire under the tutelage of Baroness Turnqueen, or are we playing an RPG to be cool? Are you cool?
Well, so Lady Alexia views that she views this whole conversation as she just dodged a bullet that she didn't even know was fired at her. Right. So she is basically breathing a sigh of relief. I mean, she's very pleased that she has this, because the fact that she has it and it never made its way, as according to what you guys are telling her, to High Priestess Stefania, means that that neither side is aware that, you know what I mean, like that they were attempting to contact each other. Right. But she does know that she's on borrowed time, because she says that knowing her half brother, if after a certain amount of time there's no response from the Cult of Set, he'll try again, right? So she says it's very worrisome, because if I was not a woman of integrity and honor, she says, without any sort of hint of ego, really, she sort of says it like, I would, unlike my half brother, I would never, ever consider allying with the Cult of Set for any benefit. And you look in her eyes and you could tell that she is not lying when she says that.
Here.
So she says the only thing that I can, other than just pleading with my far off relatives in Arkantos, which I would rather not do, the only thing I can do to make my claim and extend my power over Burdock's Valley entirely, which is my rightful claim, I should mention, is to present the Arcona Regalia. And she looks at all of you and she says, even one piece of the Regalia, the riches, the benefits, I would smother.
You're gonna
would
give this lady an implement of mass control. You want to give a regent the ability to mass control her subjects. And we were worried about whether we'd give our retainers gold back earlier.
I was kind of half joking.
I
was playing that for jokes because I knew we'd get a rise out of David, but she does actually say that she does actually say that even one piece of the regalia that was returned to me, should someone actually be able to return even one piece, I would reward them handsomely. But she does actually hyperbolize whenever she says, if I could get all 4 of the regalia, the rewards would be endless.
So I do have a fairly sinister, and I don't want to take too much time outside of this, but something to just put in our heads for a future date. There's a really cool first level spell called Magic Aura. And what Magic Aura does is it makes a mundane item appear magical. And it can't be easily detected as otherwise. And it would be pretty cool to make, I don't know, forgeries of the various regalia and cast Magic Aura on every single one of them. What can we do with that? I'm just going to put that out there.
How long does it last?
Permanent.
Okay, so that's more like a detox so we have 4 minutes left. She's asked you a question. Have you heard of Isocritus? Have you heard his whereabouts? Do you know anything about what his fate was? How do you answer her question?
I think we should go with the rumored dead answer.
I go with the rumored dead. We've heard of him. We've heard he's dead.
Let's leave it even more vague than that. Let's say rumors in the halls indicate that a human sage met his end. We have not heard any specific details, right?
She hangs her head and she says, that's a great sadness to hear. I really hope that is not the case. Should you be able to bring me evidence of his fate, whether alive or dead, then I will reward you handsomely.
Shake Upior and see until all the shit falls out.
I'll chime in. If we can bring you the responsible agent, would that curry even more favor?
If the responsible agent has evidence of what was done, yes. I do not want some patsy presented before me taking the blame. I would need proof.
My lady, one thing that has occurred is during the recovery of this note, one of our colleagues suffered a grave injury, one that Jador of the Mithras Temple can cure. However, our friend is a Wiskin, and he serves a different god. And Jador is hesitant to do it without asking him to renounce his god. We are wondering, perhaps we have money to pay for his cure. We're not asking for a financial stipend, but we're wondering if you might have any influence that could help Jador make our friend whole so that he can plumb the depths of Arden Vul once more.
Jador is a proud man, she says wryly, but unfortunately, I have no jurisdiction over the operations of the temples, other than to ensure their safety from threats outside Gosterwick. So I wish I could tell you something different, but there's little I could do to sway him.
If only she had, I don't know, an iron circlet that can allow her to control the guy's mind.
Milady, one more question about this Isocritus?
Isocritus. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. He was renowned across the empire.
I don't see much sunlight, but I'm sure I will find out more soon. Did you? When's the last time you heard from him? Was there anyone else in Arden Vul he might have been communicating with, collaborating with, that we might go ask on your behalf?
We were communicating irregularly through the Knights of the Azure Shield, who he had some means of contacting. I didn't bother finding out the specifics, but the information that was relayed back to me over the past couple of months was that he had discovered a secret library of Thoth and had found some promising entries that he was studying that he had determined would likely lead him to at least some of the regalia. This is why it pains me to hear that he may have fallen in the halls.
Certainly. Might he have had a apprentice or an assistant of any sort that he would have
No, damn the
collaborated
man. I wanted him to take a retinue with him. I wanted him to have like a people like you to guard him on his journeys. But he was renowned again across the empire for only wanting to go by himself.
Sorry.
People like us.
Very, very,
Oh my God.
very terrible. Magic does imbue many with hubris. I assure you that myself and my compatriots do not have such reputation.
And undoubtedly, that is why you still survive to this day, despite the many accomplishments that you've done. I have heard about your work at the hand of Arden. My Thesmothete, Eusebia, has informed me. Well done.
Thank you.
So we'll have to leave it there for the night.
Okay.
We'll pick it up next time if there's anything else you want to do in Gosterwick. Yeah, lots of good info found. Got all your stuff identified. So excelente. Well done. All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, everyone, for watching and or listening to 3D6 Down the Line, the most criminally underwatched actual play series on the internet. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Subscribe to the Patreon if you're willing to throw us a penny or two. That's always appreciated. And thank you, as always, to our existing patrons, our explorers, delvers, and especially our conquerors. David, who are they tonight?
Our conquerors are Saps, Papa Bear, Zach Shiflett, Familia Morando, Mercury 605, Ruben D. Collar, Dave Rosser Jr., Andrew, Haynes Burkhammer, Dakota Nielsen, Cam, Stephen Casenberry, Brad and Aiden, the Logan family, the Kabrowskis, Declan Koniski, Chad Cartier, Magic Meat Machine, Tom Leary, Phil, G Tokyo Time, Terry Barney, Eric Lawson, Mando NZ, Faisal, James Doig, Nefarious Gamer, Grunt, Andrew Schroker, MM, Michael Schilling, Stephen DiMaiolo, the Hex Brawler Twins, Summon Toast, Adam the DM, Scott Earsley, Mech Jack, Kick Maniac, Dire Grew, Tom, Eric Gerritsen, not Matt but not least, and the rest of our Matts, Matt Mason, Matt Gardner, Matt Koenig, and Matt Young. Thank you, guys. It means the world to us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
As always, supporters, we really do appreciate it. Everyone have a great week, and we will see you next time. Bye, everybody. Take care.
See you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.